it looked pretty much perfect.
Sorry,
from
I
Bob
thought we had a
Ross.
couple
Did
minutes.
I saw her picture, her picture.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome everyone to our Finance Committee meeting for December 21st, 2022. It is about 6:32 p.m. How about a roll call? Mr. Hennessy.
Mr. Ghost.
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mr. Neff.
Here.
Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Mrs. Cooper.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mayor St. John is absent.
And for
Six present.
the record, Mr. Mayor should be here within 30 minutes or so. Okay, let's go to the minutes for our last meeting, November 16th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Okay, roll call.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
Mr. Ghost.
Yes,
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
6 ayes.
minutes approved. Okay, let's go to our first item on the agenda for this evening. We have the facilities planning project. Mr. Hennessy has an update for us and some details. And we did get a proposal in from Mr. Collinsworth with Management Advisory Group this week. You also have this sheet in your packet too, referencing some of the other professional service projects we have going on. I think I'll go ahead and turn to Mr. Hennessy.
All right, so just a quick update on the facilities planning project where we last left it. We've approved the design contract and preparation of the bid documents with MS Consultants. I do have feedback from our engineer and the legal counsel with some edits. We've already pushed those back to MS Consultants and we're just working through the final details. So hopefully we'll have that contract in place shortly after the new year. So that said, what you've got then in front of you is a proposal from, as Mr. Ghost said, a proposal from Management Advisory Group. If you recall, when we entered the first phase of the design services, we engaged Dave Collinsworth and Management Partners to serve as our owner's representative, basically provide guidance to the city, and part of the role of the owner's representative is also to kind of help facilitate the project so you stay on schedule and you meet the goals. Again, not that it's the primary responsibility of the owner's rep, but they assist you in that. Council had approved up to $95,000 in funding to be used toward those services over the course of the entire project. And so for that first phase, we entered into a contract for just a little over $17,500 to provide services. So of the 95, 17.5 has been spent to date. Now that we've moved to the second phase, Dave Collinsworth, although Management Partners, for those of you who don't know, that organization was acquired by Baker Tilly. Mr. Collinsworth did not move over to Baker Tilly to provide to work with them, and we did not assign the contract to Baker Tilly. So he, as an independent, is requesting that council consider continuing to engage him in this role. His proposal then is for $16,800 to provide additional services. So in your packet then, maybe you just want to call out a couple of tasks that will be taken up by Management Advisory Group. The list is on the second page. Well, actually, I don't have the packet page numbers.
Oh.
So packet page 6. Under the project approach and deliverables, just want to point out the fourth, fifth, and sixth bullet points on there. So in addition to helping us through the detailed design, preparation of the bid documents and the process for identifying a contractor, because that'll all be done by the MS Consultants. In addition to providing advice to us, Mr. Collinsworth providing to us advice on those issues, he'll also be helping us review the financing plan Keep in mind, this is probably about a $4 million project. At least that's where we seem to be headed.
Mhm.
He will assist the city in the preparation of the bond rating review materials. So we don't have a rating at the moment. In order for us to get long-term financing, we'll have to get a rating. So he will assist us in preparation of those materials. And he will review and advise the city on the preliminary official statement. That's the document that goes out prior to the release of the bonds to anybody who's interested in purchasing the bonds. Yes.
If we approved a contract with a company and that company gets sued,
Mhm.
is it automatic that we can withdraw from that contract and move on to another
Yeah.
person? I
Yeah,
didn't know if we have some obligation to the new company that bought the company.
good question. Well, yeah, that's a great question. So what's important to note about that one is you have to agree to the assignment of that contract to them. So it doesn't automatically go.
Okay, so they can't just pass it on
Right.
without us saying yes to it. All right.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And the other important point to note is when you approved funding for the first phase of the project, although you approved $95,000 overall, you only approved the first phase of that, 17.5 thousand. And we said in the contract, we would come back to council for any subsequent awards. So there's not any money sitting on the table that management partners
All right.
might be looking
I
at.
just wanted to make sure the bases were covered.
That's
So.
no, it's a great question. So, anyway, so yeah, so the proposal is in front of you today, not necessarily asking for council or for the finance committee's approval. We'll get it in front of council. Just really want to see if there are any questions that I can answer before we put it on the council agenda for additional consideration.
Thanks, Daryl. So I was looking at those bullet points there, 4, 5, and 6. So review plan of financing with financial advisor in the city, assist in preparation of bond rating review material,
Mhm.
and review and advise the city on preliminary official statement. So essentially, he's going to sort of help us walk us through the process,
Yes.
primarily of securing that bond, determining what kind of bond we want,
Yeah. Now,
and the lender.
yeah, I mean, keep in mind, we do have a financial advisor who will be doing, running the numbers. We'll be working with the buyer of the bond, who basically deals with the transactional elements of that. So he'll be advising us in terms of preparation of, again, how do we get our rating? Because the rating is key to the interest rate that's going to be
Terms.
Yeah, and the terms
Getting favorable terms
Yeah.
based on rating.
Right.
Okay.
And like I said, the preliminary official statement is a significant document that's put together prior to the issuance of bonds. And it requires a lot of, technical expertise in terms of the development of that. But also there's a lot of information that we're trying to gather to support that. Because at the end of the day, that's what the bond buyers are looking at and making their decision as to whether or not they want to buy our bond. So he'll also, like I said, he'll assist in the other aspects of what's going on the design side. The contractor, the design contractor also, again, will be preparing the bid documents. We will actually go out to bid. That contractor will stay with us through the bid process as well. They will help us identify the contractor that we'll recommend back to council. And so Mr. Collinsworth would be with us throughout that entire process as well to provide some advice.
And are you satisfied with what you've seen here in his report? And how about your relationship with him?
Well, I definitely value the ongoing relationship. I mean, for me, it's been very valuable because I've only been through one significant capital project in my time, and he obviously been through many, many more than I have. So, and I think he's added value in the process up to this point. And keep in mind, it is a $4 million project. It is a significant project for the city. So some outside guidance, I think, is
he has a wealth of experience and knowledge too, with many years, the Westerville city administrator. Okay, so do you need any guidance or direction from us, this committee, this evening?
Again, mostly just wanted to introduce the proposal. We'll put it on the council agenda for next month. Or the next council meeting for action. If anybody has any questions in the meantime, you need me to do some additional research.
I noticed his start date here at the bottom of page 2 says this, basically, I think it's today, December 21st.
It is, but I've talked to him about that as well already. I mean, it'll align with whenever we finalize the contract with the design firm.
Okay,
So,
so nothing needed from us in council this evening.
correct.
Okay. Any other questions, anyone? All right. Okay. All right, we have some other items on our list here. You want to start at the top here, Daryl, and
Yeah.
Okay,
So
go
the next item, in your packets, and again, packet page number. Go ahead, just use it. Oops, sorry.
I went through it.
Packet page 8. So one of the things Steve and I had been talking a little bit about is just maybe recapping with the finance committee where we've engaged professional services to provide some assistance beyond our ongoing relationship with CT engineering consultants and any legal services. I mean, those are other professional services as well. But like I said, we wanted to just give you an update on kind of what is active, pending at the moment, and then maybe some issues that could be on the horizon where we might want to engage some professional services assistance. So the first two, they are MS Consultants, architectural design services for the space planning. We've talked about that. So again, that at the moment, it's the police department, it's the municipal building, and then it's conceptual design work for maintenance facility. The next one, also with MS Consultants, is the strategic planning process for the Sunbury Parkway District Plan. So we have just done the kickoff on that and getting started there. So maybe that plan is done sometime in the June-ish, July-ish timeframe.
and that also involves the Edge Group, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's got Edge, and it's also got Ice Miller.
Yeah,
And as
you've met with Edge. It was Greg, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
How often do you meet with those folks?
So Mr. Grumney is on that committee,
Hmm.
and the mayor's on it as well. I think we've basically set up that we plan to meet with the steering committee and the consultants 3 times over the course of the next 6 months in total to kind of provide some guidance and direction to them. But there will be the biweekly calls between the consultant and city staff just to make sure that the project is still moving, is moving forward.
So bi-weekly is
Every 2 weeks.
every other week.
Every other week.
Yeah, not twice a week.
Yeah, not twice a week.
Okay.
Is that semi-weekly? I don't know.
Okay.
All right, Baker Tilly, we talked a little bit about them. We have engaged them as our municipal advisor. So primarily working on the space planning project from a financial perspective. But we have reached out to them to provide some additional guidance, particularly as it relates to the parkway and doing some financial analysis in terms of what the NCA might be generating and whether it's sufficient to cover costs and what have you. So they're kind of a standby advisor to the city. And then the other one that's active is the Deep Fiber Strategies. This is the fiber broadband project. We'll be doing what they call the design conference, or basically the strategic session with them in January. So we've invited the stakeholders to that meeting, and we're moving forward. So those are all active in some way, shape, or form. The next two, Management Advisory Group, that's the one we just went over.
Mhm.
And then the other one, Neighborhood Strategies. This is one
That's
that
Jim Leonard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I do have a proposal from them to provide a community profile for the city. Maybe we'll ask them to do some additional economic development planning. But at the moment, we just have the profile proposal. And so I'll work that internally a little bit more and then come back to the group for a sign off if you're comfortable with it.
And the other items you have listed below, was Mr. Leonard going to
No, so these.
study any of those?
No, well, I don't at the moment. We actually talked to him a little bit about maybe the streetscape project,
Mhm.
but we really haven't engaged him in a detailed discussion about that yet. So everything that's below are, projects that, have I've heard about, that we've been thinking about, maybe engaging a professional, or we have started to do some very preliminary development work on. So it's not meant to be exhaustive, except it's exhaustive of what I think is out there. If you've got some additional thoughts on what should be on the list, please let us know. And if you think I've got something on here that just isn't that important, we can certainly get it taken off.
I was looking at the first time there, branding and media production.
Yeah.
Isn't, I thought part of the Parkway District plan would include some branding.
So they're gonna, they're gonna look into design standards for the city.
Okay.
Maybe we look into a little bit of signage. I don't know. We haven't really gotten that deeply into that portion of it yet. But this one is, maybe a little bit more narrowly focused or specific, if you will. This is Mr. Thomas, if I'm saying his name correctly.
Well, Joey Thomas.
Yeah. Just to begin to have a conversation with him about whether or not, that's something that fits our needs going forward. So again, just identifying some things that are in the works. The next one on there is the welcome package. So we've got the content developed, but at this point, we probably need somebody to help us with the design side of that, so that what we're sending out looks, professional to the new residents. So again, we haven't engaged anybody yet, but maybe that's.
Do you have anyone in mind for that? Do you think Mr. Thomas could help us?
I don't have anybody in mind at the moment, but if others
I
have
hate
some
to, I hate
thoughts,
to put Mr. Mayor on the spot since he just arrived, but regarding those first two items, Mr. Mayor, branding, media production, resident welcome package, design services. Do you think that's something Joey Thomas could do for us?
I think you could.
Mhm.
We may want to evaluate other folks as well.
Yeah, and we haven't put together any kind of a scope here or anything. Like I said, these are just ideas that are out there that have been kicked around a little bit.
Okay.
Historic downtown streetscape design development services. Again, has my understanding there has been a little bit of work done on that. So maybe we pick up with that, or maybe we go a little bit deeper or in a different direction. But again, something else to at least keep on the radar. City parking lot design development services. This is the new city parking lot that'll be here once the buildings are demolished. One thing,
Okay.
city council strategic planning session. I know that's been kicked around a little bit, that maybe we need to start thinking about maybe doing a strategic session. And maybe we engage somebody who can facilitate that kind of an engagement. And then the last one I put on the list is, there have been some discussions about identifying a health partner, maybe the recreational needs assessment as it relates to a health partner. Again, I'm not trying to suggest that we're, going out and doing a full scale assessment, but
Our medical mile.
well, again, the don't want to lose sight of, again, the strategic or the Sunbury Parkway district plan, I think we'll be examining that issue as it relates to that space.
Mhm.
But, is that where we engage our health partner, or do we even think a health partner is, something that's still a priority? How do we do that? So again, nothing moving on that front, just maybe just out there for some
Mhm.
thought. So
I think for our next meeting, I think you've identified and captured everything. There's one other thing I wrote down here. How about the comprehensive master plan review or update? It's been 6 years.
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate and timely to talk about that and maybe get that group moving forward again. These are all excellent. There's 7. I guess if you put that one down there, we've got 7 action items there. I think we need to do some work on for next meeting, determine what we want to do. What do you guys think?
I was just thinking about the resident welcome package, and this may be a dumb idea, but that wouldn't, maybe not a bad idea for like a community contest to design a welcome package. I know our very own Brad and Services daughter, I think, has a degree in some type of design, where, someone like that looking to get maybe something, in the portfolio, or somebody who's experienced just want to give to the community, might be an interesting, like a contest to design the welcome package or what that might look like, but
Mhm. It's a good idea. Mhm.
Yeah, again, I think we've got the content. It really is just the design
The look,
side of it.
yeah.
Yeah, the look and feel of it. That
And the
we,
chamber recently came out with
Yep.
something very similar. Did any of you guys get it in the mail? It went randomly to homes,
Yeah,
but it was, I thought, really
It was
well done. And
Great.
it was really, you can find all that information online, but it was really nice to have it subject by subject and every name and number that you can find. I thought they did a really great job with that.
and I did ask them who did it. I wrote down the name, but I've forgotten who that is.
Okay.
Who their contractor was. But I don't, Steve,
I'm sure it's in
anything
that
else?
packet.
Yeah, probably is. Inside of the front page or something, right? Front cover, yes.
Just looking these over, some of my first thoughts in terms of ranking them would be, I think branding and media production is probably, I think in my opinion, is at the top of the list. Again, we have to coordinate that with our Parkway district plan. We want to make sure that everything out there matches everything here. We need it to be consistent, signage and look and feel.
Mhm.
Streetscape is important. We've talked about that in the past.
On that one, I think it's important we define the scope. And then the set of standards that we utilize, we already have probably on the, the tavern side of the street. I think this is a good template.
Mhm.
It may not be a cookie cutter template, but we should really try to define it, and especially the boundaries. Are we going to go all the way to Cherry Street, to Route 3, or should we maybe make the Ohio Fallen Heroes Memorial, or, that a boundary?
Yeah.
I think that'll help define the scope from a finance perspective.
Yeah. And then, of course, what the health partner recreational needs, I think that's up there too. Master plan update.
Certainly the thing I think the public would have the most demand for at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's put this, again, let's revisit this, our next meeting, Daryl. And we'll go ahead and think and to do some work between now and then and determine what priorities we want for these items and decide how we want to move forward.
I think for the master plan, another one, we could probably initially ask staff over the next month or so to go through the existing plan. How much effort would it take to just update all of the exhibits, like the building permit information, the growth information? We've had a census since the last update. The community feedback portion of it is probably like a step 2 if we're going to go out and re-poll the community, bring a group together. But at a minimum, we could update our thoroughfare plan. I mean, it's been 6 years and some of those lines have shifted.
Yeah, good point. Mhm.
Okay.
Got all that down?
That's great feedback. Thank you. Yep. Mhm.
Okay, excellent. All right. I don't think we had anything else. Steve, Daryl? Anyone else on the committee? Okay, I don't think there's anything else on the agenda other than the review of the financials, which you have in your packet.
Yeah, so Dana, as she had indicated, was not going to be here tonight. So I did ask her to at least try to pull the standard reports so we could at least include that in here. That said, I mean, like I said, I don't have a lot of analysis from her to report, but we could, if we want to. Steve and I were just talking a little bit about it. The year-to-date fund report, the general fund at about $5 million. If you take a look at the expenditure report, I think it's running somewhere around 4-ish million. So, to the good generally on the general fund.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks like we spent a lot. We talked about this, I know at several meetings. It looks like we spent a lot with 8.4 million. I remember that's over to the capital fund. And there was a portion of that to projects. I think it's a little short of 400,000 to the capital or to the parks program too. So, net effect really is about a $4 million worth of expenses with $4.9-ish million in collections. So again, relatively strong there. We don't have the final months of income tax number in here yet. So that's
Revenue is right on schedule. It should be 83.3% or at 83.52. So that's
a
good.
little bit ahead, I think, but
Mhm.
yeah. Talking about, the real estate property tax is in about a third higher than was budgeted. Again, we're at the income tax collections for the year with another month to go. Local government funds are not double, but almost double what was originally projected. So,
And the police impact fees were substantially higher, which is good.
yeah, on the collection side, I think.
Mhm.
Yep. So if people have thoughts and want me to have Dana do a little bit more research, we can do that. But we weren't going to try to dig too deeply into this without her here.
I had one question about having Dana look into the investments and the interest rates. I noticed Fifth Third Bank, they're offering, it's currently 0.17 to 1.8. That's on the page 3 of the packet, the top there. Star Bank's at 2.38. I'm just wondering if we can move some money around a Star, if it's worth our while to do that, get twice as much, almost twice as much in earnings.
I know one thing that Dana and I talked about was trying to get a investment briefing to the committee. So she has, I think, already identified who is doing these investments for us. So I'll follow up with her and see if maybe that happens in January. But if at a minimum, at least let her know that that's something you're asking about.
We have about the same amount of money in Star and Fifth Third, 7 million.
Okay.
Any other comments from the group? Okay. All right, that's all I had. Anyone has nothing else?
We do have a couple of guests and I wondered, are you here just early for the council meeting or did you have something you want to talk to the finance committee about? Okay.
Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
very good.
Motion to adjourn is in order then, right?
Motion for adjournment by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Capel. No further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Capel. Yes. Mr. Ghost.
Yes.
Mayor St. John. They're right next to each other. Mayor St. John.
Nap.
Sounds good. Good ring to it.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
7 ayes.
Motion, meeting adjourned.
Hey, John. Joe,